hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie, and today I have some new St. Patrick's Day DIYs for you using supplies from the Dollar Tree. All of them have a little bit of a coastal touch because that's my decorating style. And let's get started. The first one we're going to do, I'm going to use one of these little wood shamrocks from the Dollar Tree. This is just the plain one that doesn't have anything on it. It is slightly a different shape, but it's pretty similar to the one that has the little bump outs. Then I thought we would just make a DIY stain using some brown paint from the Dollar Tree, kind of mixing that half and half with just water. I kind of wanted to show you what these wood pieces from the Dollar Tree would look like if you don't have access to Antique Wax by Waverly. Pretty similar, and it kind of gave me kind of a warmer brown color, this color from the Dollar Tree, but it actually worked out pretty well. So I just go over the whole thing, kind of working in one direction, and then I go over the top of that with a baby wipe and wipe off the excess stain. And look how pretty that wood grain is. Super easy. I don't use Dollar Tree paint a lot, but sometimes you can find a good shade and have good success with it. It's kind of thin, so it kind of works well for a stain like that. Then we're going to use 3 of these little galvanized metal heart trays from the Dollar Tree. These are from the Crafter Square. They're not just for Valentine's Day. They have them at my Dollar Trees year-round, and so I picked up 3 of these. See how they fit perfectly on the leaves for the shamrock? I thought we could do something really cool with these. So I'm just going to attach them to our little wood shamrock with hot glue. The wood shamrock itself is kind of a little bit flimsy, but when you add these little metal trays to it, definitely made it a stronger, more substantial piece. So I'm just going to do that with all 3. I've heard that you can't hot glue these metal pieces, but I never have any trouble. I do use the Gorilla Glue hot glue. It's available in my Amazon shop below. Also, sometimes I'm able to pick it up at Walmart. It works really well for these kind of things. The reason I stain the shamrock, even though most of it's going to be covered, is just because you can see around the edges a little bit. It's a little bit larger than the heart, so I didn't want that raw wood to be back there. I wanted to kind of have a stained wood background. But this is going to hold it all together. Then I thought I would take some of this reindeer moss from the Dollar Tree, and we can fill up the little heart-shaped metal pans with that. It's going to give us a mossy shamrock feeling, and I think it looks kind of cool. I'm kind of doing mine more like a seaweed kind of thing, but it doesn't matter. It can kind of match with different decors. So I just do about half of a leaf at a time there, just by putting down hot glue and then carefully gluing that down in there. Make sure you don't burn yourself. I'm just trying to cover most of the bottom to get that leaf shape for the shamrock. Not too full. I don't want to waste too much reindeer moss, but just trying to get that heart shape filled in. Now we're going to do the same thing here on the other 2 leaves. Whenever I buy the reindeer moss from the Dollar Tree, I always try to kind of check to see if it's a little bit wet. You can tell by feeling through the package. I find it's easier to work with if when it was packaged it was a little bit damp. It makes it more malleable. It kind of makes it prettier too. Because sometimes it's really dried out and clumped together. So make sure you feel your reindeer moss before you buy it. Just a tip. They also have a different kind of moss right now too. I can't remember what it's called. It's a brighter color green. I did pick up some of it, but I kind of wanted to use this earthy color of green for this. So just the regular reindeer moss, and just piecing that in there. You can always patch any areas that you need to, or if you have any hot glue that you can see, you can kind of melt it if you have a heat gun. Now, I was trying to determine what I could do for the stem of the shamrock, and I thought I would do something coastal, so I'm going to use some of this Dollar Tree rope. This is the 6 foot white nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, and I thought if I double it up, it would be about the right width of the stem, and we could do like a coastal rope stem for it. Something that's going to stick out from that background sign because the pans, you know, are a little bit thick and substantial. So I'm just going to take the tape off the end. I cut this piece down, and then I'm going to cut it in half to form 2 little ropes to fit in there. Now, I don't want them to be white though, because that's not really going to go with the green shamrock feel. I really want them to be green. I didn't think that I could paint them very easily to get really good coverage. So I thought maybe I could try to make my own like dye, kind of dye them. It kind of ended up more like a paint on there, but let me show you what I ended up doing. Sometimes, yeah, just got to be creative. So I take a cup of water, a little bit of water in there, and I thought I'd make a DIY stain. So the only colors of green I had was like a Christmas green and like a leafy green. So I'm going to mix those together and just kind of go from there to try to get a color kind of close that the green that we used for the reindeer moss. And it was way too bright, I thought, so I'm just going to start adding some black acrylic paint to it too, to try to darken it up. Kind of like mixing paint colors, but I was trying to mix a stain color. Now, what I didn't realize though is that it didn't really mix with the water real well. Maybe I used too much paint. That's probably it, because it ended up more of a paint feel. But I did add a little bit of brown as well to try to give me that earthy color, and I got it pretty close, right? So then I thought we could just take the Dollar Tree rope and dip it in the cup to dye the rope. It does work, but not really what I intended. Again, I think I probably used too much paint, but I'm going to put my first one in there. And you can see it kind of turned out like kind of a camo, kind of modeled. Little green specks, brown specks, black specks. I kind of liked it though. I thought it looked very cool, like an old green nautical rope that's been used and abused in the sea. So it's really wet at this point, so I am just going to use my heat gun to try to speed this up. If you don't have a heat gun, I would really advise buying one. They're only about $10. I have one available in my Amazon shop below, but you could always use a blow dryer because these things are wet. Otherwise, you're going to have to let them sit for a long time. So kind of messy at this point too, especially if you're handling them. You're going to get like paint all over your hands. I dried them and then I put them in my hands and I dry them again. As you can see, I'm getting paint all over my hand, but I kind of wanted to blend the little camo pattern that was in there a little bit. Next time I try this technique, I'm sure I'll try it again. I'll try to use less paint and more water. Maybe that would mix better and give me more of a stain, because this is more of like one of those mixing paint with water kind of effects, I think. But it worked. We have green rope now, right? So here's my 2 pieces of a green rope for my stem of my shamrock. And now I just need to attach those to the little shamrock. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got them fairly dry. I think dry enough to glue them down. So I'm just going to glue those down. Now, the only parts of the shamrock at this point that really aren't green are like the little places in between the different heart pans there that you see. And my camera did turn itself off here, but what I'm going to do is just kind of patch in those areas with a little bit more Spanish moss just to kind of make it look more cohesive. I just put a little hot glue down on those cracks and then put a little bit of that reindeer moss down in there. And I also glued the reindeer moss in the seam between the ropes just to kind of give it more of a natural feel, kind of peeking out like that. It's looking pretty cool. My son absolutely adored this project. He said it was my best St. Patrick's Day project I've ever done. So quite a compliment. And just trying to patch up any areas that I thought kind of needed a little bit of moss. Now I thought I would decorate it. If you don't do a coastal decor, you can totally leave as is. But since I do, I thought we would add some little sea creatures. I get these little tiny starfish on Amazon. They're available in my shop below. I'm going to use one of those, just hot gluing that to the stem. And then the rest of these are just the little tiny shells that are in the glass bottles from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to glue a couple of them down like they kind of are stuck in the seaweed or the rope, to kind of give me this cool mossy or seaweed shamrock. Super fun. I also kind of have a gap there, so I thought maybe I would glue another shell there. I'm not really going to do any shells in the leaves, but I kind of wanted to decorate the stem a little bit, just to add a little bit more character to this DIY. So that's how it's looking so far. I did want to do a hanger, so I'm going to cut some twine. This is that twine from Walmart. It's a little bit thicker. Doubling it up, pulling it through, kind of recreating the hanger that was on there before. And knotting that gives me a nice coastal vibe hanger for it. Super cute. I thought about putting it on a wood round, but I kind of like the shape of it. I decided I wanted my hanger to be a little bit shorter, so I do tie it again, shortening the hanger a little bit. And then I was trying to decide, I wanted to do like some kind of a bow or something to finish it off. And I thought some of this mesh ribbon from the Dollar Tree would be perfect. This comes in several different colors, green, tan, white. This is the tan one. I just cut off a piece and tying it into a knot right in the middle. I think it looks like fishing net, so I love using this for coastal DIYs. That's all I'm going to do is tie a knot, and then I just kind of need to figure out where to attach it. I kind of want it to be like kind of a crazy bow. So I thought about putting it there, but I didn't really want to cover up the seashell. So I decided to put it right here at the base of my shamrock. I'm just going to glue that knot down in there on top of the rope. And then just kind of have one go down, one go to the side. And that is the final touch to this DIY. I think it turned out really fun. What do you guys think about this little shamrock? I used all supplies from the Dollar Tree. The only thing not from the Dollar Tree was that little tiny starfish. But I think this is really fun. And it can go coastal. It could also go any kind of decor if you like leave off the seashells. Okay, are you ready for another DIY? We're going to use a wood round from the Dollar Tree, and I thought we would make like just kind of a coastal St. Patrick's Day sign, something that says St. Patrick's Day. So I thought this wood round would be perfect. I love these from the Dollar Tree so much that I like buy them by the case and have them shipped for free to the store because they're so versatile. They're a great size, and I love that they're plain wood. Now we're going to cover it with burlap. I'm going to use this it's like a synthetic burlap. I get it on Amazon. It is also available in my shop below. I usually use the burlap bags from the Dollar Tree, but they were not quite big enough to cover this whole thing. But you can use whatever kind of burlap you have if you have some from Walmart, or you could stain it. You're going to kind of get the same effect if you stain that wood. But I kind of wanted to do burlap on this one, so I just laid it on there, drew the design out. This is kind of like a slick synthetic burlap, super easy to cut. The only thing I noticed though was it was pretty difficult to glue down compared to like real burlap. But I didn't get my circle cut out perfect, but as long as I get all of the wood covered, I'm going to be happy with it. So I'm just using some Dollar Tree Mod Podge, and I am putting down a thin layer of Mod Podge all over so I could glue that down. I thought that I had enough glue down, but you'll see it didn't really want to stick. And I don't know if it was that glossy coating on there or what, but I put it on there and smooth it out. And I'm thinking that like as it dries, it will kind of stick, but it wasn't sticking at all. It just fell right back off. So I'm going to go back in with the Mod Podge and do like a thick layer and see if that helps my situation. And it did. Probably thicker than I'm used to using, but I didn't really want to use hot glue for this application. So I got it on there, pushed that down, letting that Mod Podge like seep through the holes of the burlap helps it to, you know, stick a little bit better. And trying to stretch it out so that like all of the wood parts are covered. I can always cut off any excess after I get it on there. But finally got it to stick. It stuck even more after I dried it, of course. But what I have a little burlap sign from the Dollar Tree that I'm going to use to decorate that with. And I thought that this burlap background would be perfect. So just using some sharp scissors, I am just cutting around the edges to give myself that perfect circle cut. And that totally did it. Now let me show you the sign that we're going to use. It is this little flag sign from the Dollar Tree that says Happy St. Patrick's Day. It's kind of cool, but I kind of wanted it to be an actual sign, so I thought we could DIY it. So I am just going to cut the little hat out right at the border with the brown part of the burlap. So I just get this green burlap Happy St. Patrick's Day hat. I love it because it's so simple and no glitter or anything like that, and I like the fabric feel. Now it's kind of made out of that same synthetic like burlap material that we used before. And I kind of had the same exact problem that I had before. I'm doing a layer of Mod Podge on the back of it. I thought I could just kind of stick that down like a sticker on the burlap. But again, I think maybe because they are just so slick, I had problems getting it to stick. I am trying to smooth it down. And I thought I used enough burlap, but I found that the top of the hat and the bottom of the hat was not really sticking. So I thought, well, before what worked was more Mod Podge. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to use more Mod Podge here. Putting down a thick layer at the top, also going over the top of it to make sure this is really saturated so that it stays down, because I was having a feeling it wasn't going to stay put. Once I did that though, I did half at a time. I really got it to stick better, especially once it got good and dry. So gonna do the same thing here on the bottom using a ton of Mod Podge. Lesson learned, the synthetic burlap needs a lot of glue. So I give it a good dry. It's looking really cute. I did want to kind of border it out and kind of frame it out with something nautical. So I'm going to use that same white rope from the Dollar Tree that we dyed before. This is the thicker, the 6-foot white nautical rope. And we can frame that out with kind of a coastal border. It's also going to hide like the cutting around the edges and give it kind of a more finished look. So easy peasy, we're just going to hot glue this around, trying to get it all the way to the edge of my sign. When I glued the little burlap hat on there before, I made sure not to cover the little hanging holes, and I'm kind of trying to avoid them as well when I'm going around with the rope border. And just gluing that down. I'm going to keep working around. You don't want to do too much at a time because you don't want your hot glue to dry. And then cut it off here at the bottom. I'm going to kind of have like a seam at the bottom. I do plan to do a bow here at the bottom, so I'll be able to cover that up. So I don't really care if it looks too good down there, but it didn't look too bad. Then I'm just going to use one of these little weeders from the Dollar Tree and punch holes back into the fabric where there was holes on the little wood round. I'm going to cut off some Dollar Tree twine and try to feed that through the back. I like to knot it in the front. I find that it holds better. Using that weeder tool to kind of needle that through and tie a knot here on the front. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here on the other side. Now I want to decorate this a little bit, add some coastal touches. And so I was trying to think of what I could do or add to this to make it look a little bit more coastal. I don't want it to be too busy. I really like the feel of it so far, but it's got like the little polka dots all over. And I thought maybe some of these little tiny seashells from the Dollar Tree, we could decorate the little polka dots with seashells. So I'm going to use like the standard shell kind. And again, these are just the little tiny ones that you get in the little glass bottles with the little cork tops from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just trying to pick out ones that are kind of the same color, about the same size, and going to pick out enough of those to cover all the polka dots on our little St. Patrick's Day sign. And if you didn't want to do a coastal decor, you could totally skip this step. And then I'm just going to go in and hot glue. When I glue down the shells with hot glue, I find I really only need to get like one rim. And I'm kind of having them go like all different directions. And so just gluing like the lip of it and sitting the shell on there. And I go ahead and do that with all of them. Now I wanted to finish it off with some kind of a bow or something. I wanted like a burlap St. Patrick's Day ribbon, and I didn't really have any, but I do have this fabric left over from the top of that flag. So, you know, a good crafter never wastes good material. So I thought I would just cut this down into ribbons that we can use to make a bow. I just want to do something simple like an expo or something at the bottom, just to finish off the sign, make it not quite so plain. So I just kind of cut the usable fabric that I still had out, trying to get that square, and then I'm going to cut that in half again so it's not quite so thick. I was trying to think if that was going to be too thick, and I think it was. So I'm going to cut down into 2 strips to form an expo. Now I thought that that might be a little bit too long of an expo, so I am going to just shorten those strips a little bit until I kind of get it like the right scale that I wanted. And we're just going to do a really simple expo. I thought we could use this DIY ribbon that we made. And then I thought we could bring in some of that mesh ribbon that we used on the last DIY. I love this stuff. I like it in the tan the best, but I did pick up some green because I thought that might be fun to use for Easter. So I'm going to combine those. Whenever I do an expo, I like to use like 3 different kinds of ribbon. So I'm also going to add in some of this green burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I like to have like at least one that has like a wire rim, like border on it. It's going to help it keep its shape a little bit better. So we're going to use it. That one on the bottom, we're just going to X each set of ribbon. So easy. Just take a zip tie and then just cinch that all together. I like to pull the little connector of the zip tie kind of towards the back and cinch it up. And then you can just trim off the rest of your zip tie. Super cute, super easy, and I think this is just the right scale. And we're going to put it there at the bottom of our Happy St. Patrick's Day sign. It's also going to cover up the border and the little rope frame that we're in. So I'm just going to attach it with hot glue, kind of on the inside ledge there of it. Super cute. And then to cover up the zip tie, I thought one of these little shamrocks from the Dollar Tree, a little clover, would be really cute right there on top. Perfect finishing touch. And they have 2 kinds of the clover. This is the one without the glitter on it, but you could kind of use whatever you can find. And just hot gluing that down. I think that's all there is to this DIY. I think it turned out really cute. I did decide that my hanger was a little too long. It's always better to make them too long than too short. So I did shorten that a little bit, but this is how it turned out. And let me show you how it looks hanging on the side of my cabinets. I'm combining this with the first sign, and I think they turned out really fun. Isn't that cute? So pretty. And really easy to do too. I think it looks great hanging underneath the little shamrock there in my kitchen for St. Patrick's Day. You know, we decorate for every holiday around here. Okay, our next DIY, check out these new signs from the Dollar Tree, from the Crafter Square. They're like a whitewash wood. They have like a groove between the different like slats of the board. I kind of wanted like a rectangular sign for this one. And so I wanted something big enough for this. I got this little mossy shamrock at the Target dollar spot for $5. Super cute. The other version they have is the little leprechaun hat that I used on my St. Patrick's Day coffee bar. And I kind of wanted a background sign for that. So I'm going to use 2 of those Dollar Tree signs. I'm just going to cut them down to size because I don't need it to be quite so long for this project. So just laying my shamrock on top, kind of figuring out how big I want them. And then I'm just going to take these off to my saw and cut these down. I have, a lot of you guys have asked what kind of saw I have. I have a Ryobi miter saw that's like a sliding one. Super easy to cut stuff down. Now I kind of want there to be a groove between the 2 signs. So instead of gluing them directly together, I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap in between them. That way it'll kind of continue that like wood slat pattern. I think it's going to give it a nice coastal background sign. Now to connect them together, I'm just going to use some popsicle sticks from the Dollar Tree. I think that's going to work fine, and then just glue them together. I think 3 popsicle sticks should be plenty, and I'm just going to hot glue the back of the sign and lay one in the middle, and then I'll do 1 on each side. You can kind of see the wood through there a little bit, but it's not real obvious. But I think it looks better than putting them side by side. They have these new signs in like brown wood, black, this whitewash, white. They're so pretty. I love them. What a great background. So that's going to be a great background piece for our little mossy shamrock. And then I was trying to think of something like coastal and fun I could do for this. And I decided it'd be really cool to make the background of the shamrock be sand. And then I can do like a little carving in the sand. Like you would kind of write letters in the sand when you're at the beach. So I'm just taking a Sharpie and going around like the inside of where the shamrock will be, so I'll know exactly how much sand that I need to add to the sign, only to make the background of the shamrock sand, if you know what I mean. So I'm just going to use school glue and some of this brown sand from the Dollar Tree. I thought the brown would be better than the white because the white would kind of blend in with this sign. And then I'm just going to use a small paintbrush from the Dollar Tree and just start painting that school glue on exactly where I want the sand to be. I want to like kind of go just outside the borders that I painted on there so that you won't really be able to see any gaps. But I also don't want it to be underneath where I'm going to attach the mossy shamrock to it because I want the glue to be able to stick that mossy shamrock down to the wood sign. So it's kind of a shamrock shape, kind of a weird shamrock shape by just painting the inside. Once I get the school glue on there, I am just going to open up my sand from the Dollar Tree and start sprinkling that on, doing a nice thin coat. I love working with sand projects. I think they're so fun and they're pretty easy to do. You just got to make sure that you put something down first so you don't make a huge mess with the sand. But just kind of shaking that, and you can kind of see that the shape that it's taking. I should have put something down first, but I'm putting down a cutting board now from the Dollar Tree. And that's kind of the shape that we're left with. I'm also going to secure it even more using some of the spray glue from the Dollar Tree. I kind of need more of this, and I've been having trouble finding this. Sometimes they have it in the school supply section, and sometimes they have it in the Crafter Square, but for some reason, my Dollar Trees have not been carrying that for the last few months. I'm not sure why. So I also just sprinkle on some more sand to kind of give a thicker coat. This is just the sand that came off when I shook it before. And then I'm going to give it a good dry to make sure that it is going to stay put. Now we can kind of piece it back together by putting the little mossy shamrock on top. And now you can kind of see what I meant by having the sand background. You kind of have to line it up just right. But I love these St. Patrick's Day decorations from the Dollar Spot at Target. So cute. And if you wanted to use supplies from the Dollar Tree, you could probably recreate something pretty similar. I'm going to do a bead of hot glue all around the edges of the sand shamrock and then glue the mossy shamrock down. So cute. I got it lined up pretty much perfectly. I am going to spray a little bit more adhesive down. Sprinkle a little bit of sand here in the corners just to make sure that I got it good and tight. But totally doesn't have to be perfect, but usually the more glue that you use, the better, because this is going to be, hanging on the wall. I don't want any of the sand falling off. Now, I want to carve like you wrote like a word in the sand at the beach. So just flipping over my paintbrush, I'm just going to use the end of my paintbrush. And while it's still a little bit damp, I'm just going to sketch my word in there. I'm going to have it just say lucky. I thought about doing like a printed letter lucky, but I thought it might be easier to pull off if I kind of do like a cursive script. And so that's what I'm going to do, because that way I don't really have to worry about the spacing of the letters or anything like that. And so I'm just going to do like a lucky, like in cursive, like a script. If you do find that you have like some sand on the end of your paintbrush, you can just wipe that off. You're trying to get that part of the sand out. I kind of wish I would have painted that part like a little bit deeper tan before I would have done that, to kind of give it that like wetter sand look that it looks like when you carve in the sand at the beach. But good enough. I'm just going to give that a quick dry here to try to keep everything in place. And you can always touch it up if you find that there's a little bit of sand in any of the places that shouldn't be. Now, I wanted to frame this out. I didn't want to do the rope border on this one. I thought we could do something else, and I wanted to do something coastal as well. So I'm going to do a shell border on this one. I thought that'd be really fun. So I'm going to use the Dollar Tree shells. I really like these shells. This is the one I'm talking about when I say they come in the little glass bottles. I like to pour mine out in those little toy organizers from the Dollar Tree to keep them organized, and they're easier to get out than they are from getting them out of that little tiny bottle. But it's kind of a medium-sized shell, so I'm going to use that, I think, to border out the top and the bottom. Now, before I get any further, I thought I'd better go ahead and do a hanger now. Probably should have done that before I even attached the sand or anything else, but we're just going to flip it over, and I'm just going to use some thick twine from Walmart. I'm going to tie a knot in each end. Just do a really simple hanger. This is really not very heavy. I think this is going to stay on just fine. And I'm just going to hot glue that to the back, trying to center it so it will hang straight. And the only reason that I knotted it was just to kind of give me more surface to glue to the back of these signs. But I love these signs from the Dollar Tree. They are really coming out with some really cute blanks like this at the Dollar Tree. I'm really excited about them. So we have a hanger now, so now we can go back to that shell border. So I'm just going to kind of glue one of these shells on each one of the boards, just by doing a dot of hot glue on the bottom part of the shell. I'm also going to do them all kind of in the same direction, so they're all kind of pointing the same way. I'm going to do that on the top and the bottom of the sign because I have plenty of room for like a medium-sized shell like this. So I'm going to do the same thing here on the bottom, having them kind of pointing the same direction that I had them on the top, and just do another row of those shells. I love decorating with those. Those are one of my favorite shells from the Dollar Tree. And I don't think I have enough room to do them down the sides, so I thought I would just switch to a smaller shell, one of these little tiny ones, and kind of do those down the sides since I don't have a lot of room, because I have the sides of the shamrock there. So I'm just going to kind of fit those in, just kind of working my way down, again, kind of working in the same direction. It just gives a fun little framed out look to this sign and adds a little bit more detail. But I totally love these signs. Very, very cute. And I love that little mossy shamrock. So fun. This is the first time I've ever tried to do the like carving into the sand. But that was really fun as well. Next time, if I were to do it again, I definitely would have probably painted that tan behind it before I put the glue down, just to add a little bit more contrast, but at least the white is a different color than the sand. So I'm going to do the same thing here on the other side, just gluing at the lip of one of the shells down and just kind of filling it in. It's not going to be totally symmetrical because one side's higher than the other, but that looks pretty good. Just trying to clean up any excess hot glue. And we have our little lucky sand shamrock. I think this turned out really cute. I have this hanging in my dining room for St. Patrick's Day, and I think it looks so fun. I'm in the process of redecorating my entire living room because I just got new sofas, so I had to rearrange everything. and everything's in disarray. The kitchen's good. The kitchen's good. Hey guys, I wanted to take a moment to tell you about my private Facebook group. I'll post a link to that below as well as my Facebook page. You're going to want to follow one and join the other because they're going to be different content. I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest at Crafty Beach on YouTube. Okay, the next DIY, I want to do a pot of gold. So I picked up one of these little tinsel pot of golds from the Dollar Tree, and I thought we could DIY this into a fun coastal St. Patrick's Day DIY. But first, we have to get rid of all of this tinsel stuff. So just kind of cutting it down the middle. They have it like wrapped around little hooks on the side, so pretty easy to get that all off there, and we can kind of do our own thing, but it's going to leave us that great cage. I love DIYing the tinsel products. It's just a great starting base. I just kind of wish they would actually just come like this. Some people like the tinsel though. I'm not a fan. Can't say I'm a fan. But gonna clean that all up and we can get started. So it's got like the pot of gold and then like the little area at the top there where you can put gold coins. I thought we would do a rope pot. So I'm going to use that same white rope we were using before, the 6-foot white rope from the Dollar Tree. I was going to do brown rope on this, but I do have brown walls in my house, so I thought it would blend in. So I kind of wanted a little bit of contrast, so that's why I went with white. And I kind of want to I thought about going all the way around it and wrapping it, but that would waste so much rope on the back that you wouldn't be able to see. So I thought about just doing circles. So starting in the middle, since it is an oval and not a circle, you kind of have to start with that oval shape. So see how I did like the long piece and then wrapped it around? And I'm going to glue that first piece down to the very center of my cage. And then just start gluing this around. Wherever there is like a little piece of the plastic cage, I'm going to put down a little dot of hot glue to secure that down. Kind of working a couple at a time because I don't want that glue to dry, and just going to spin it around. And that's going to give me that great like oval shape. I thought at first about just cutting them all lengthwise, but I kind of like this effect it gives me. So just wrapping around. I don't want to do too much at the top there where I need to do the lid of the pot, but I'll show you how I get around that. I'm just going to go ahead and finish off this first package of rope. So that's 6 foot. That's about how far that covers. Gluing that to the cage, and then I can just trim off the excess up here. Now I don't want to really go any further in that direction to the left, because that's where I'm going to be putting my gold coins, or my version of gold coins. So I'm going to kind of start underneath that when I start with my second rope. So just going to start right here at the top of the pot and just start gluing around. When I get to the top, I'm going to stop again because I just don't want too much rope up there. I think it's going to cause problems. And cut it and glue it down. And then I'm just going to go in with that same rope and go around again. Basically, I'm just trying to fill up any of the areas with cage. I got it on there pretty good and centered. I do have to trim off a few tabs towards the end, but just cutting that one down as well. And I think I have room for one more row. Just gluing that all the way around. It covered like all the tabs on one side, but not so much the other side. So that's okay. I can just trim off those tabs. But we got pretty much the base of the pot covered in rope. And these are the tabs over here that you might be able to see, but they're easy enough to just snip off. And if you have like a hot glue mess on the underside, you can always clean that up a little bit with your heat gun if you want to. Now I have like the pot covered, but now I need to do like the brim of the pot around the top. And so I'm going to use rope, but I'm just going to cut like long pieces to go straight across. And again, just gluing that down to the cage. I'm going to kind of start at the top. And I think 3 rows of rope is going to be good to cover that up without too much overlap. I kind of wish I would have cut the side pieces maybe a little bit longer, but I did get pretty good coverage with 3 pieces. This one will stick out a little bit though, just because of that little overlap part in the middle, but that's okay. So we have our little rope pot, and now we're gonna have to fill this with gold. I don't really want that open cage behind my gold coins, and so I'm gonna use one of these Dollar Tree burlap bags. I love these. I've been getting these at the Crafter Square. They're like a synthetic burlap like we used earlier, but a great way to get these is at Dollar Tree. And you can always reuse the burlap. You can reuse the straps for DIYs. So I just cut the front off the bag. And basically, I just want to cut a little semicircle here. I'm just going to draw kind of what I need to do and cut that out. That way it's going to give me something to glue my gold coins to. And if there's any gaps between them, you'll be able to see the burlap behind it instead of just an opening or the plastic cage. So I'm just kind of trimming that down to size. And then we'll just attach that with glue. Now, since I'm doing a coastal St. Patrick's Day, I love to throw coastal in my DIYs. I'm going to use seashells for my pot of gold. Painted gold, I thought that would be really fun. And so if you aren't going to do like a coastal feel for yours, you could always use the little plastic gold coins from the Dollar Tree. Those would work really well as well. So we got that glued down. That looks pretty good. I'm just going to kind of clean it up a little bit here by trimming off some of the excess fabric. I don't want it to be too floppy up here at the top. But I do want all those tabs to be covered up. And I probably should have attached the hanger at this point. I do hang it a little bit later though, but it really wasn't a problem. Just trying to clean up some of my glue back there, and we can start decorating this with gold coins. But first we need to paint them. I'm just going to use like junk seashells that I picked up at the beach. They're almost all like bleached out, like, you know, they're not perfect for sure. You could always use ones from the Dollar Tree though. Sometimes I have trouble telling the difference between the ones I get at the beach and the ones at the Dollar Tree, to be honest. But I don't really care what they are. I'm just kind of trying to pick out a bunch that are about the same size and same kind of shell. And I don't really care about the color because we're going to paint them. And I'm going to use this gold metallic acrylic. I get this at Dollar General. And I love painting with this. I think it works really well. So just using a brush because I want to get down into all the little grooves and details of the seashells, we're going to go ahead and paint all of our treasure gold. And I've done this on another pot of gold project that I did last year for St. Patrick's Day, where I used the wood cauldron and stained it, and then also painted seashells gold to be the treasure on that as well. So I really liked how that turned out, so I thought I would do another project like that. Anytime I can decorate with seashells or coastal, you know your girl is totally going to do it. So I didn't really count or pay attention to how many shells I pulled out. I just kind of eyeballed it. I did end up needing one more. You'll see here in a minute, but just trying to get a good coat of gold on all these. Some of them were a little darker than others, so just going in to make sure everything's painted nicely. And just going over some of them, maybe with a little bit of a second coat, just to use whatever paint I had. We're going to give those a quick dry, and then we can attach those to our pot of gold. I'm just going to kind of randomly start attaching these by gluing those down, and I'm really glad I put the burlap down because I really did need like the extra surfaces to be able to glue these down too. And I'm just going to start kind of scattering them out. If I do have like a plastic base underneath, I do kind of try to lean it up against that to give it something else to adhere to. and just start kind of piling them in there however they're going to fit. So I don't have a lot of room for like the top of the pile here. So if I don't have enough room, I'm just going to start like kind of gluing them to themselves. And the hot glue works fine for this, but you do have to definitely give it time to dry. Just piling those up there. I kind of want just about as good coverage as I can get. If it slightly goes over the rope, I think that's going to be fine. So as you can see, I really kind of just wanted one more here at the end. So that's okay. I'll just grab another seashell and give it a quick paint of gold, and then we'll attach that on there. I was trying to decide if I wanted to do words or something like that to decorate the pot of gold, but I decided like a simple shamrock would be enough, and so that's what we're going to do to decorate this pot of gold. So we have enough gold coins. And I'm going to use one of these little craft kits from the Dollar Tree. There is a little shamrock in there. It does kind of have like a light green shamrock as well with like a funny face on there. But we're just going to use the little shamrock. And these are just great for crafting. They have all different kinds. They have rainbows, leprechauns. I picked up 2 different kinds of these. They even had like little St. Patrick's Day gnomes that I use for my St. Patrick's Day gnomes tier tray. And so it has one side with writing, one side's plain. We're just going to glue that down in the center of our pot here, the writing side down. The felt works well against the rope since they're both like fabric. And you could kind of leave it like that if you wanted. I wanted to kind of dress mine up a little bit more by adding some moss to mine. But first I'm going to go ahead and make a hanger. Just by flipping it over and using some twine from the Dollar Tree. I'm trying to work that underneath my cage here. Just need to get it around there, kind of in the middle, and then all you got to do is tie a knot. You can have a hanger, super easy, kind of similar to the ribbon one that was on there before. Now to dress it up with a little bit of moss to make it look kind of prettier and match some of my other decor, I'm going to use some more reindeer moss. And just kind of working one leaf at a time, I'm just going to glue moss on there with hot glue to kind of give it that little shamrock shape. You could totally do this without that little felt thing under it, but it definitely helps you try to give you the shape. And it also, I don't go all the way to the edges. I leave kind of a little bit of a green border around the edges. Just because I don't want it to look like a big blob of moss. And that's basically all there is to this DIY. I think it turned out really fun. My little pot of gold, I'm going to hang this in my dining room with that little lucky mossy shamrock that we just made. And it wasn't too hard to put together, but I think it turned out really sweet. Just trying to clean it up a little bit, make sure I have all my hot glue burnt off, and this is how it turned out. Our little pot of gold. I thought that was definitely a fun take on what it looked like before, for sure. And this is what it looks like hanging in my dining room for St. Patrick's Day. I always like it when I have enough time to decorate for St. Patrick's Day before Easter, and luckily that's the way it's falling this year, so that's good. Okay, I have another St. Patrick's Day DIY. We're going to use all these items from the Dollar Tree. We're going to start with one of these little green foam wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. And we're going to do like a small scale St. Patrick's Day wreath to hang on my wall. I'm going to use some of this burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I was really glad to see that they started carrying this. If you can't find this exact one, you can use the thinner burlap rolls from the Dollar Tree. That would work well, but this is a really high quality burlap roll for the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start by wrapping the entire wreath form with that burlap to give me a nice coastal background for this DIY. So I'm just going to start here in the back and kind of at an angle, just glue the tip down. And then we're just going to slightly overlap each row like by like an inch if necessary to try to get that bend. This is not like a big wreath form. You could do this on a bigger scale though if you wanted to use one of like the wire wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. And I did do a large shamrock rope wreath that I have hanging in my front door in my 10 best St. Patrick's Day DIY videos is in there. That turned out really cute too. But this is kind of a mini wreath, which is great because you can hang it anywhere. So once I got it all covered, I am just hot gluing to the back across the row before I go in and cut off the excess burlap. So one roll was definitely enough to go over the entire thing. And then I wanted to use some of these little shamrock or clover flowers from the Dollar Tree. I grabbed 2 bunches and I thought we could wrap them around. Almost all of mine had 2 clovers on each one. Some had 3 and some had 1. So I'm trying to like group them together in 2s. And then the ones that had like 3 on there, I just kind of use those towards the end. But I'm just pulling them all off the stems, leaving 2 attached together like that so that I can tie those on to my wreath. I'm just going to use twine from the Dollar Tree. It's going to match that burlap nicely and just start tying those on. Easy peasy. So I just kind of tie it around the stem that holds them together. And I'm just going to tie a knot here in the back. And then cut off a piece of that twine. I just kind of estimated how long I was going to need that to be. And then just start tying them on one at a time. Kind of alternating. Trying to like hold my twine tight as I do it so that they don't really move around. I do have to secure them a little bit more than this to give it a little bit more shape. As you can see, they kind of want to flop around a little bit. So just grabbing 2 at a time, putting the string in between the 2 stems and going all the way around until I get to the other side. I wanted to do just a really cute, simple shamrock wreath. And I also have that great little shamrock sign that you see there that I think looks really coastal from the Dollar Tree. It's a galvanized metal shamrock with a little green wood one on there. So cute. When I get to the end, I'm just going to go ahead and tie that off on the back against where we started. And as you can see, that's what it looks like at this point. They are attached, but they are a little wild and willy, even though I kind of worked in one direction. So to kind of give it more shape and to make it look better, I'm just going to go through with my hot glue gun and glue down one of the 2 clovers on each set to the wreath form to kind of make it look better. And it kind of can cover up like the base of the stem before it. Just kind of picking whichever one I think needs it the most and just gluing 1 leaf down. Easy peasy. I do still have like a couple leaves left that you see there. Those are the ones that had 3 on there. And I kind of saved those back to kind of fill in any areas on the wreath form that kind of needed more. They have 2 different kinds of these clovers at the Dollar Tree. This is the plain one. They also have the one with glitter. I find that the one with glitter is usually a little bit easier to find. It honestly would look pretty with either one, but I always prefer the one without glitter. So we got those all glued down. And then this is where I just kind of go in and just pull off individual flowers or clovers and just go in and just kind of patch up any bald spots. This was really easy to put together, but it's really cute. They have something similar at the Target dollar spot that's like mossy with like little shamrocks all over. That would be really cute as well. I'm just going to cut off a piece of twine and just loop that around and tie it into a knot to make a super easy little hanger. And then we just need to attach the little wood and metal shamrock that we got at the Dollar Tree. This is it. I thought about changing the color of the green to make it a little darker like we did the other DIYs today, but then I kind of like the different shades of green. I thought it would look cute together. I'm just going to kind of use the existing hanger on there because it's kind of stapled to the back of the metal, and just kind of glue that to the underside here of my wreath to kind of make it like hang down right in the center of the little shamrock wreath. And I don't really need a hanger on there, so I just cut off the excess. And that's all there is to it. Let me show you how this little guy turned out. I did kind of pull it up a little bit so that you can see it a little bit better. And let me show you how it looks hanging in my house. I think it turned out really cute. I don't DIY a lot with those little green wreaths because I usually like to do a larger wreath, but this turned out really sweet for an indoor decoration. And that is it. I would like to thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to smash that like button. Comment your favorite DIY below or just come say hi. And don't forget to subscribe. We're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers. And I also wanted to tell you guys that I just introduced memberships. If you join for $4.99 a month, you'll get early access to all my videos and some other perks. Thanks for watching. Here's the final reveal.
I'm walking down the street on clouds instead of the concrete I'm dancing through. Everything's about to come my way. Nothing can ruin my day. No matter what anyone does or say, I smile at fools. No, I don't care, cause I am on my way up. And I won't stop, I won't slow down. Steady on my feet, I'm gonna rise up. No, I won't stop, it is my time. I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. I'm strolling down the street with all of my favorite songs on repeat. I'm dancing through. Everything's about to come my way, and I don't care if you spill coffee on me or if the sky is gray or blue. No, I don't care, cause I am on my way up, and I won't stop, I won't slow down. Steady on my feet, I'm gonna rise up. No, I won't stop, it is my time. I know what it's like to be broke, yeah. I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. To be broken, and I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm just gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down, cause I am on my way up. I won't slow down. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. I am on my way up. I won't slow down.
And I wanted to give a huge shout out to the following Crafty Beach Bums for sending me super thanks, super chats, buying me a coffee, sending me a Cash App. I really appreciate you guys and your support of my channel. We are trying to get to 15,000 subscribers and we are getting closer and closer. But I really appreciate you all. And if you would like to watch more Crafty Beach, YouTube thinks that you might enjoy this video right here. Happy St. Patrick's Day.